Hi, my name is Benedict. This video is about NewQ, which is a new EQ device from me. Very deliberately designed rather differently from the usual suspects kind of thing. You can read on my website about the rationale behind that. If you know me, if you follow my work and the logic in what I do, then this will make a lot more sense to you. If you're just expecting it's going to be the usual kind of Nintendo device, this probably just isn't for you. Or maybe it's worth your taking a little bit of time to understand why this is perhaps a better path for you. What we have is a 10-band filter/EQ device. We've got a pair of filters, top and bottom. We've got 8 bands, 2 of which, top and bottom, can be switched between shelf or peak. The ones in the middle are just hard set to peak or trough, because they are simply the most usable. Everything about this is designed for workflow. We will start with an A/B. There's a little piece that I wrote here, really just for this, as I was testing the device, getting close to battle. It's not been put into any client work at the moment, because I'd rather not have a half-finished thing in a client's job. So, mixed. Not mixed. Mostly there, pay attention to the string section. Plus obviously things widen and fill out nicely. You hopefully hear how everything really opens up. A little messy, bright and clear. Righto, so it's really just a sense of, okay, is it going to sound nice in a mix? Well, hopefully you think that sounds nice. As you see, we have a spectrum view, but I don't really call it that. I just referred to it as eyes, as in you can see what's happening, but again, not in a sort of Nintendo Game Boy kind of an approach, because this is about doing everything by ears and feel. And there's too much mixing with eyes going on, and it doesn't work. People taking numbers out of books or lists, even worse, lists made by AI, and plugging them in as though that's going to get them there. It won't get you there. As you see, we've got, with a simple sound, we've got a quite nice clear spectrum type view. You'll notice this is not set up quite the same as what you're used to. There's no 0 dB line, there's no plus line, there's no sense of meters down the side, because I never see any use for them. If things don't feel right, then what are those numbers going to do for you? It is handy having a sense of the frequencies, but you shouldn't be running by that at all. Eyes allow us to turn the spectrum on and off. In total, this guy lets us adjust the level. It's not changing the volume levels, it's merely changing what's being pushed into this spectrum. So if you've got a sound that you're working with and it sort of seems pretty low, as in you can't necessarily see everything that's happening, you can push it up. That's all that's designed for. Its default point's going to be officially there, or probably there, just pushing up a little bit. If you find that your sounds are hitting the top or going off the top, that straight away says your sound is probably too loud. This is set roughly that this at 0 is going to match roughly a VU of 0, which is what we perceive as being the right level. This also has the option to bring in noise. So there's a white noise source, which you may never use, but you may also find incredibly useful. The reason for this, it's probably worth turning this down at this point, is that we can use it to learn to correlate knob positions with areas in the spectrum. That was its major purpose. That's what it was there for when I was building. And when it came point to sort of say, oh, well, I should tidy up, and it's like, you know what, that's actually really useful. So I gave it a proper button and it stayed in. There is, as you've noticed, a bypass. So if we've got something in, we can bypass the sound. It still leaves meter on, but it gets rid of everything that the device is doing. If we've got two points, we can choose to turn points on and off individually. Not uncommon, but the reasoning here is that everything is visible all the time and nothing moves around. So used to these things where you drag and everything moves. There's no solid way of seeing what's happening. And that's clever if you're a designer of an iPad, but really problematic for serious usage. While you can sort of say, oh, you know, I'm special and clever because this is so much more fun. Yeah, Pac-Man was fun, but it didn't actually make anybody good at computers. The whole idea is we've got to get the job done, and I feel that this is a far more conducive environment. This is feedback, not telling you what to do, and this is very unchangingly showing you exactly what's happening. So if we have something set up, it's pretty easy to see what's happening. We don't need to dig into click this and open that and what have you, which makes it very, very hard to get an overview. And working on music is about an overview. You've got to do things at the detail point, like, you know, we get in here and go, okay, you know, but then we have to pull back and say, is this working? And at that point where we pull back, if we can't get an overview of what's happening, then those tools, as far as I'm concerned, don't really serve their purpose. At the bottom and the top pair of filters, which you can switch in and out, they have a lot of shapes, but I've defaulted them to what you're most likely going to want. We can fade off the bottom end. Yes, you can add a resonance point if you want to play that game, and that can be a very cool way of doing things. But just as it is, it's ready to go with just a couple of clicks up here. These knobs don't appear to have a lot of sensitivity in the range, but they are actually quite sensitive. So there are a lot of positions between the sort of clunks of the outside knob. They're not designed as a, you know, here are the 4 choices you can make. They're a full frequency range. They just don't have a very high sort of visual resolution because honestly it's not needed. It is about feel. So that's your bottom filter. Your top filter again is designed for ready to go. Very sedate low pass. You can go up to a less sedate low pass, but you can just switch it in exactly as it sits, and it just takes the very edge off that top. A thing worth experimenting with, because you may well find that, oh, that suddenly makes it feel less digital. That's a win. That's a lot of the reason why people think the digital sounds bad, simply because it goes unnaturally evenly up to the top, whereas if we back it off a little bit, we will find that, oh, that sounds much nicer. And before you go, oh, but you lose all the brightness, then, you know, that's where this sort of thing works. If we switch in and out, just listening to the white noise, hard and brittle, bright but nice. And that's not about predefined settings, it's just showing you, look, this is kind of how things work. And if we work with the wrong assumptions, then we can be kind of having some problems with things from the get-go. So that's our two filters. Oh, and this has got a lot of extra shapes. So there's like band passes, switch them in. Combination filters. I won't show you exactly what they look like, but you can see exactly what they look like here just by doing the white noise thing. There are some band rejects, which are kind of fun. Turn this down. And they just carve a hole in the middle. Put an LFO onto that, and then you can get a kind of phase shifting sort of sound. And again, there are more sort of combined. Here's one of these and one of those all happening together. Part of the reason I ended up leaving the noise in is because they just sound really good. That's a different kind of high-pass filter. It's sort of cool. Don't exactly understand what it's doing, but it is kind of cool. As well as being an EQ, this is actually a two-part filter device, which if you apply your own LFOs, becomes one of those modulated LFO doohickeys. So it is bonus. Then inside we've got all these bell curves, which you've seen me use already, but 1 and 8 also have the option of turning into shelves. So bell, shelf. The bottom one is a low shelf, the top one is a high shelf. You don't have lots of choice there, you've simply got the shelves that are appropriate for that position. There's nothing wrong with you choosing to say, oh, I'm going to put them somewhere else. Sounds awful in headphones. So a bell. Or a high shelf. You will have also noticed that I am using these are switches. These are operating as a switch, but a multi-position switch. So they give you a range of plus minus 3 dB, which is great for very sensitive work, especially things like mastering. 6 dB, 12 dB, 24 dB, which is the most common thing that you would use most of the time, but 12 dB is also pretty notable. And then a 48 dB mode, which is excessive, but it's very good for training yourself as to what's where. And once we've done that a few times, we'll know that one click before that one give or take is 3. If you need 3 exactly, this is the way to do it. Ramp that right up and then pull it back to where you want it to be. So you can get very, very precise if you want. That's part of the advantage of having this wee system-y thing up the top, because obviously that's going to be 3.5, so that's about 3.4. You don't need to be that precise. Speaking of precise, you can get a very, very narrow cue, should that be remotely useful, or our cue can go out really broad. Enough to basically be the whole spectrum. So the very bottom and the very top are somewhat useless, but it's good to have that offer there. So broad points, what I've said is roughly the default, and then into pointy points. And there's not a lot of audible difference there, but if you want to be very, very, very precise with something, then there is the ability to do that. But again, remember, we do that by feel, not by typing in numbers, especially not numbers that we found in a book or on the internet or something silly. These things never fully reset, but it's not a problem, because if you want it to be off, you simply go off, and now that has a range of plus minus 0 dBs, therefore nothing happens. These are all exactly the same as what I've just shown you. So you've got 8 bell with the option for shelf top and bottom, and then a pair of multi-mode filters. That's basically it. It is a VST3. In theory, that will run on a Mac as well as on Windows. It is 64-bit, so to run this require a 64-bit VST3 host. On Windows, if you're having hassles with your host having a cow about it, look in the folder. You'll find a folder called Mac. Delete that. Start again. You should then find that it behaves okay. Macs may have a cow. You've just got to follow what is normal for you to do to make those things behave. To install, it is really very simple. You will have gotten a zip file. Inside that will be the NewQ VST3 folder. Grab that whole folder, put it into your place where your VST3 live. I'm not quite sure where that is on a Mac. On Windows, it is under Program Files, Common, VST3. So just drop that whole folder in there. If you've got several of my devices, you might be organized and have a folder for Benedict, in which case you just pop this into the Benedict folder, launch your door, and bing, the thing should be available and ready to go. If you have any requests or questions or anything, please don't ask me, can you make it do this, can you make it do that? If I could, I would. Or if it's a thing that I chose not to do, then you should have watched this video. But on this YouTube video, please only do not send me personal messages, this, that, and the other. Because if you've got a question, other people have the same question. Let's be efficient, answer the question once for everybody. And if you're the kind of person who's like, but I don't want to be seen, well, that's between you and your God. Don't drag me into it. I'm not here to answer your questions one-on-one, unless, of course, you are wanting to hire me to do something for you, in which case, by all means, I don't discuss what I do with clients publicly. That's how you get private attention. All right, get out there, have fun with this. You have a good day.